Is another Great Depression headed our way? If so, these are the items that I think you're going to need. Hey guys, T2 here. Welcome back to the Time Preparedness channel. There has been a lot of talks of another Great Depression heading our way. And as you guys know, I'm not a fear porn channel. I do think that we need to talk about it. I do think that we need to discuss the items that you might need in case this Great Depression happens again. Now, the original Great Depression was a severe worldwide economical depression that took place in mostly the 1930s. The peak global unemployment rate was 25%. Now, to put that into perspective, during 2008's Great Recession, the peak job loss was only 10%. So how do we prepare? What do we need to be ready for another Great Depression? No particular order. Number 5, let's start it off with skills. Skills are an amazing asset. Skills such as sewing, blacksmithing, woodworking, cooking, gardening. Skills are something that you can pick up now and you can use during another Great Depression. Certain skills will have more value than other skills. Sewing was a huge benefit when it came to the first Great Depression. Now, typing 100 words a minute is also a skill, but if there's no jobs, your typing speeds don't matter. But being able to sew your shirt back on, being able to patch a hole in your pants, that is a valuable skill. Now, number 4 is a side gig. And the reason I put 4 and 5 together is because your skills can help you with a side hustle. Let's say you are a guy that goes to work and you type 100 words a minute and that is your skill, but on the side, you know how to sew. On the side, you know woodworking. On the side, you know blacksmithing or how to grow a garden. Now, if you lose that main stream of income, you can swap over to that side gig and make money or be able to do trades. During the first Great Depression, that is how many people got by, was on their skills. Many people knew how to sew back then. Therefore, if you knew how to sew, you could use your skill and trade for either money, food, or some other commodity. If you knew how to grow a garden and work the fields, you could use that skill and that labor to trade for other valuable commodities. Have a skill and have a side hustle. Have a skill that is valuable, that can make you money. Number 3 is land. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to go out here right now and buy 50 acres of land at an overpriced rate, but you do need land. It just doesn't have to be your land. You see, during the first Great Depression, people were using any plot of land that they could find to grow food, both for themselves and for their community. Many cities opened up community gardens. You're thinking local baseball fields, you're thinking local parks, you're thinking the side of the road. Any place that had dirt and had ground became a garden. As for me, I own 6 acres, my neighbor owns 6 acres, and the little lady across the street owns 12. So between us, we have 24 acres of land. Now, how is that valuable? I know she cannot grow 24 acres of food. I know I, by myself, cannot grow 24 acres. Instead, what we can do is we can lease that land out to people who are willing to work the fields. Or people can come ask us, hey, can I grow a garden in your backyard and give you some of the profits? If I don't have to do the work and I'm still reaping the reward, sure, you can use my land. Sure, you can use her land. You need to find you a plot of land and put some seeds in the ground and grow something. If you can't buy food anymore, you're going to have to grow it. And if you have no land, you're not going to grow food. Therefore, you're going to starve. It's pretty basic math. Now, number 2, going along the same lines as that, is hunting, fishing, and trapping supplies. There are a lot of hunters, fishers, and trappers in North America. Many of them hunt for sport. Now they will use the meat to fill their freezer, but very few of them are actually hunting, fishing, trapping as a way of life. Many people enjoy shooting a deer throughout the fall, stacking that meat in the freezer and having it throughout the year. But if your main source of protein is hunting, fishing, and trapping, you need to be good at it and you need to have the items required for it. You're not going to be a very good deer hunter if you don't have a rifle that is deer caliber. If you're going around with a 22 trying to plink at deers, best of luck to you. It can work, just not great. Same thing for trapping. You're not a very effective trapper if you don't have traps. Now, yeah, you can go out here and set up some snares. Good luck. They might work. They work on TV. Have actual supplies for hunting, fishing, and trapping. Now, before we get into the number one item I think you should have for a second Great Depression, I'm going to throw in a bonus tip. First Great Depression was in 1930s. 25% of people had electricity in their homes. Having ways to make simple power will go a long way. Something to remember about electricity is that it gives you a continuous return on investment. Now, a lot of people are going to say, oh, you don't need power to survive. Well, I've done an entire video on that subject. Go check that one out. Think about it like this. I can set a solar panel outside every single day and recharge items. Those items can then be handed out, traded out, and when they die, they don't just get thrown away. They can get returned back to me for a new trade. I have a $10 USB rechargeable flashlight. If I traded that with my neighbor and I said, hey, when that dies, come find me. Well, now he's going to bring it back. It's going to be dead. I'm going to use my power, my electricity, to recharge it. And it might cost him an hour in my garden. It might cost him a can of soup. Now I have something that gives me a multiple ROI. Understand, electricity is valuable. And the people that say it's not are idiots. So the number one thing that I think you should have for a new Great Depression, we've talked about land. We've talked about hunting, fishing supplies. We've talked about gardening. We've talked about skills. We've talked about electricity. What is the one thing that wraps all of those together? That is barter and trade goods. Barter and trade ruled the Great Depression. There wasn't that much money in circulation. So it's hard to go down to the store and buy something if you don't have money. Instead, you bought things with your time, with your energy, with your effort. That was your barter and trade. That was your monetary donation. You see, you go spend an hour hunting, fishing, trapping, and you use your catch of the day to go trade for some rice. Or maybe you had a huge garden and you had extra. Maybe you went and traded it for the neighbor's cow. Have barter and tradable items to include those skills, to include that gardening tool, that power, that hunting, fishing, trapping equipment. One thing to remember is that gold and silver probably won't be valuable. Now, I could be wrong. If I am, post links down below, but most people didn't have it. Most people weren't willing to trade for it, even if they did have it. You can't eat it, you can't shoot it, you can't put it in the fields and grow potatoes out of it. So what value was it? What use was it? That's just my 2 cents, and you guys are going to let me know if I'm wrong. I'm sure. So have tradable goods that are not precious metals. Now, as I said in a previous video, precious metals have their point where they're valuable, such as coming out of the Great Depression, but that 10-year stretch, that silver jingling around in your pocket ain't worth nothing if you can't eat it. So have tradable items. Alright guys, what is your thoughts? What is your opinions? Are we facing a new Great Depression time period wise? When do you think it'll hit? And how long do you think it'll last? And what are your top items for a new Great Depression? Let me know down below. Alright guys, that's all I got for today. Again, not fear pointing, just discussing a new topic. Alright guys, that's all I got. See you out.